NASCAR, welcome into the Hometown Sports Huddle, everybody. Dave Walls here with a special in-studio guest. Anytime I get a chance to talk NASCAR, you guys know this by now, it's a good day for me. And Lori Collier-Warren, president of Richmond Raceway, is here with us to talk about all things NASCAR with the Cookout 400 weekend coming up here in the middle of August. Lori, it's so good to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Well, any day I get to talk about NASCAR, it's a good day as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, you get a lot of chances to talk about NASCAR with your role. First of all, you've been president of the track for a couple of years now, but how long have you been a NASCAR fan? Has this been a lifelong thing for you?
Yeah, so I would go down to Richmond Raceway with my grandfather when I was about 3-4 years old. He couldn't always afford to go to the races, but he helped by parking cars. That way he got to see the race. So I would go with him, and I just have these memories of being sort of on his shoulders, waving the cars left and right to try to park them. But I started then. I didn't really understand what I was watching, but I knew it was a core memory that I had with him. And then I met my husband, and he introduced me to the actual sport. And so, yeah, it's been great since.
You know, it was funny because we were talking about me getting my first experience of racing at Richmond, and the first time I saw people waving cars around in turns 1 and 2, I'm like, they can't see you behind the wheel, but it doesn't matter. You're just
it doesn't stop them.
No, it doesn't.
It's not just Richmond; it's almost any track. But they are willing their driver to the front. That's what it is, and I love the passion.
That is. Richmond is such a fun track to see a race at, and we've had so many memorable races throughout there. I was telling you about my race, which again, if you look at the stats of it, may not have been the most exciting. Dale Earnhardt won a Busch Series race in 2002, but the actual action on the track was fantastic, and you get something a little bit different where it's just, I love, from the big wide open turn 3 where you can go 3 wide coming in down the stretch to maybe some tempers or a driver deciding to play pinball and knock out their cars out of the way.
I mean, that was a memory.
I didn't call them out, but I'm just saying you get lots of memorable moments.
You sure do. You sure do. I mean, it was called the action track for so long, and then that is coming back to life. The last couple of years at Richmond, the racing has been incredible. The tire fall off and the heat that the summer nights bring, and then when the track cools down, and it really brings some unique strategic elements to the racing, and I just it's a special night always.
The state of Virginia is so passionate about NASCAR, and even though all 3 tracks that we have between Martinsville, Bristol, and Richmond, call themselves short tracks, they're very unique style. You're not going to see the same type of race at any track. I mean, and again, Richmond, you can get the horsepower up a little bit more. You get people dive bombing into turns a little bit more. I mean, but again, every track in the state is very unique, whereas other places you get a lot of the 1.5 miles, and those, don't get me wrong, those are great races as well.
And they have been all year.
Oh yeah.
But you're exactly right. We've got some very unique short tracks. They're all under the family of short track, but the banking is different. The turns are different. So yeah, it's a unique product for folks to go and see all of them. You can't just go and see one and think you got it. You got to see them all.
Oh, you do have to see them all. I agree. And then as far as the next-gen kart we have on the track, I feel like we've been making a lot of progress towards, maybe rough beginnings when it was first debuted. No mincing words about that. But it's gotten a lot better, and we're seeing more of the style of racing that NASCAR fans love, and especially at a place like Richmond, where the action on track has really gotten very strong over the last
and they've upped the ante on the horsepower this year. They listen to the fans. They listen to the drivers. And when I say they, I mean NASCAR. Really, they lean in. They want to make the best product, the best event for anyone to go and see. And so whatever they can do, as long as we keep everyone safe, that's the name of the game. And so I think that they ratcheted up the horsepower this year at the short tracks. So I'm really excited to see how that works out. A couple of years ago, they wanted to make sure that we could even run in the rain, with the moisture on the track, and we didn't have to dry it. And so I remember our 2024 spring race, we had that moisture in there, we had that rain, and we were able to use the wet weather radials that Goodyear had put out, and we were able to run, and it was so great. And it brought another exciting element to the track. So you're never going to see the same product every single time. It's always something different.
We're talking with Lori Collier-Warren, president of Richmond Raceway, the the race weekend, the 14th and 15th, the 15th under the lights.
That's
the,
right.
the nighttime light. I love racing under the nighttime lights at Richmond.
Same. And, and I think that holds true for most Richmond Raceway fans. They asked for it to come back. We've had some calendar changes in the past few years. Saturday, Sunday, Sunday, Saturday, day, night, night, day. But it's back where the fans asked. And again, it's another example of NASCAR really leaning into what the fans are asking for. Saturday night, under the lights, the green flag drops at 7 o'clock on the 15th, and it will be spectacular.
The touchiest subject, of course, is the fact that you did lose a race on the schedule. You went from 2 to 1, but the passion is still there from the fans. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was a sellout last year.
That's right. The first time in 18 years we had a sellout. So the fans showed up. And, we have the most overlap between two races of the fans. So it wasn't as easy as 1 + 1 = 2 because, Jane Smith would go to both spring and summer. So the fact that we were able to reach that sellout because the fandom has just been, increasing year over year at Richmond, that was exciting. And I think we're heading towards that same outcome this year.
Ooh, okay.
We've already sold out camping, and that was done, I think, 2 weeks ago now. And that's always a great indicator of things to come, and we're heading in a great direction.
The campsites are fun.
Fun.
In lots of different ways. And
lots of different ways.
If you remember the fun after the end of the weekend.
The hope is you do. You want to create memories and do it safely, of course. But, it is about fun. It is about creating those memories. And I hear a lot of stories from fans that are generational fans over the years that have camping stories and even stories out in our big tailgate area. Our tailgate, I would liken it to SEC football style tailgating in Richmond. We've got some really fun, energetic, passionate fans out there that start bright and early and go all day. And they show up and they are extra passionate at the racetrack. It's fun.
I'm sure between myself and other media members, we could all tell you stories about running into campers. Coming out to stories on like a Thursday, and it's like the party is already going on very strong.
It really is. And if they could get in at 4 a.m., they would. They ask for earlier and earlier. We've tried to help them out in that way.
Building on that, I feel like more than any other sport, and I love all sports. Obviously, with my job, I kind of have to. But I mean, from college football to the baseball to everything else, NASCAR has this community feel where every race feels like a Super Bowl. It's not just, we got another one to play today. No, this is our event. We're doing it big.
Yes.
And, again, it's more about not just the race, but everything that goes along with it. I think Richmond has always done a great job with the hospitality, the entertainment. And what are you building on in 2026 to kind of like up the game?
Well, we needed to up the game after last year. We wanted to make sure that folks came back and we gave them a reason to come back year after year. The fan zone is going to be the most packed it's been in years. With activations and fun experiences for friends and family to enjoy. We've got music, we've got local food, we've got an area called Richmond Row, and that's going to highlight and feature 20 different experiences, local experiences throughout the region. So people can really come, when they come to Richmond, they get a taste of our region as well. We've got an art show, and it's called NASCART. So it's motorsports-inspired art, and we also have a car show featured inside as well. So there's something for everybody, but the music, the energy, it is electric before you even get into the stadium. And then when those engines fire up, man, nothing's stopping it.
All right, so we were talking about your personal fandom, and of course, now you're the boss of the track. You may not be able to play favorites, but growing up, you had to have someone that secretly you were kind of like.
I mean, when I was growing up, I can't tell you now. I do have my favorites, but when I was growing up, Smoke. Tony Stewart was, I mean, I was decked out in orange from head to toe when I showed up at the track, and I just love the fiery nature that Tony brought to nearly everything he did, and still does. But I love seeing Carson Hocevar now, Hurricane Hocevar. A lot of folks have been likening his style to the late Dale Earnhardt, a little bit of Tony Stewart. So I think you've got a lot mixed into one. He's been doing really well. Right. He's got a ways to go. He's young, but man, he's been fun to watch.
It's fun to watch him build a rivalry up with a lot of these drivers too.
Oh, it was fun last weekend to watch that rivalry play out on the track. But yes, it's been great. And then we've got Connor Zillich. We've got a lot of young guys that are up and coming to join rank and file with our legends that are still on the track.
And I'm glad you said that because I feel like this year we're seeing the young, the next generation really push the the generation who's been here for a while, really push them. And now we've got a lot of close races where we're going to see a Denny up front, we're going to see a Joey there, but you're also going to see see a Connor, a Corey,
Yeah.
everybody else really push these guys. And so now it almost feels like it's more wide open, like, hey, all these cars could win.
Right, absolutely. Look at what Corey Heim did this past weekend.
Yeah.
He's only had 15 NASCAR Cup Series starts, and he's won 2 of them. That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was special before he entered the Cup Series, obviously.
Sure.
But to watch him and see what he's done and what he's accomplished, that's incredible. So you're right. They're giving him a run for the money.
And it's fun to watch a lot of these drivers come from the short tracks here in Virginia.
Right.
I've had a chance to cover a Corey Heim, a Lane Riggs, who's probably going to be in the Cup Series in a few years, and talk to them when they're 18 years old. And these fans in Virginia, they go out to those tracks and then they go, well, now I got to go see him in Richmond. I got to go see him at these places because now they're in the big time, and it makes the connection with them so much tighter.
It does. In fact, we have a lot of local favorites that are going to be at our truck series this year as well. We've got an oldie but goodie. He wouldn't like being called old, but I mean just an old favorite.
Yeah.
Elliott Sadler will be actually making an appearance in the truck series. We've got Destiny Spurlock. I believe she'll be joining us. She's from the Richmond region, so it'll be nice to see her out there. And of course, I was with Butterbean Queen last week, going around and really hyping up the Hampton Heat, and then his first time in Richmond on the track, if you can believe it.
Really?
So that'll be on August 14th as well.
Wow, as much as he gets around, especially in the Northern Virginia area, I would have expected that to happen. Talking about where the overall sport health is, I feel like the fan base is super passionate about it, but it is also a little bit intimidating for first-time people. I was lucky enough to have a group of friends. Some of them knew about NASCAR, and I had to be kind of taught, okay, once I understood the strategy, the science of the pits a little bit more, even as a reporter, I'm learning something all the time that makes it more enjoyable for me. But it is a little bit of an intimidating sport for first-timers. But from what I understand, Richmond's kind of helping people get into it the first time they come to the track.
That's right. And you're right. I think any sport can kind of be a little bit, you have a natural curiosity. You want to know everything right from the jump. Exactly. And you have to learn it. But at Richmond, we have a first-time fan booth. As soon as you get into the fan zone, it's right there. So if you've never been, we're going to give you top 10 things that you should see once you get there. We're going to tell you how to get a scanner. In fact, I believe our scanners are, for the first 20 or so folks that show up to the booth, are going to get them for free. And that helps you. A scanner is something, if you don't know, it really helps guide you through the race. You can switch to here between teams. And that's just, it adds an element to the race that a lot of folks don't get. And so we're going to help walk you and navigate you through that, just to make sure that your first experience is one that you'll want to repeat time and time again.
I've always loved the scanner. It's so unique. Imagine, sitting there watching a football game and being able to hear the conversations between coaches and players. You don't get that. NASCAR just says, here, go ahead, listen in on the strategy. Listen in. And sometimes, look, they have the code words in there, but that's kind of fun to try to figure out, too. But I would say to the first-time fan, when you're going out there, go to the first-time fan booth, get your instructions. But then the easiest thing to do is just pick your favorite color or pick your favorite number. That's the car you want. Just follow what that car does the entire time. Whether you end up liking them or not at the end, at least you're going to get to watch incredible strategy in the pits. You're going to get to see them move and navigate and strategize. And I think that's the easiest way to start to understand the sport for me. And your opinion on a driver may change as the race goes on, and that's okay.
That's okay. Mine does weekly, actually, so it's okay.
Golly, I've been doing this more years I'd like to admit. There's been races where I go, I think this guy's going to win. And then halfway through, I'm like, no, forget that guy. This guy.
Look at what that one
did. For him.
Right.
And then a story pops up over here. Now I'm rooting for that guy.
Right. Bubba Wallace's last summer at Richmond Raceway, when he had sort of the tire gate, we internally call it, when he was doing so well. And then anything can happen at any moment to throw someone else up near the front.
You just never know.
You never know.
You just never know. All right. So coming into where we are, again, we were talking about all the drivers, the next generation, the established people. It just seems like Denny, of course, with his connection to the area,
yes.
Hamlin is always there. I've run into him more times in Victory Lane there than anywhere else.
That's
in
right.
my reporting career. There's something special when he comes home.
But he has told me that he's never gotten this trophy, so he is very eager to have this trophy. Now, he's had our Toyota trophy from the spring race, but he doesn't have this one. He's very eager to capture it, and he's going to be doing a lot of things to help Richmond, make sure that he helps promote us this year as well as next year. In fact, I don't know if you've heard of Denny's Bros. It's sort of a Denny. Okay, so Denny's Bros are actually going to be setting up camp in our camping and interacting with the campers. It's going to be quite special event is what I guess I'll say. So fun. So fun. No, they're excited. So we're excited to welcome our hometown guy back.
That's fantastic. I know you got other places to go, but I really appreciate your time. I'd love to give you one more chance to kind of just promote the race, say anything you want, and also if somebody is watching, say, all right, fine, you talked me into it. I want to go. Where are they going to get their tickets?
They're going to get their tickets at richmondraceway.com. You can get them for both the 14th and the 15th. It is our 80th year this year, so we have been in racing since 1946, and we're going to be doing a lot of special things to celebrate that. But this is the last weekend before most of the kids go back to school. Help them celebrate. Check that bucket list item off with the most energetic, jam-packed, fun-filled weekend of the entire summer.
That's fantastic. And one more question since you're here. I know you got a little bit of a connection to Virginia Tech up the road. What are your thoughts about football season up here?
We all are we're all of the same mindset, right? We are excited and pumped up about this season and Coach Franklin and all he's already done and his staff. They were actually down They were down at Richmond Raceway a couple months ago doing their tailgate tour. And you're right, I do have a connection. Both of my sons, one of them has graduated there, the other one's his last year, so go Hokies.
You got to get Coach Franklin to do the pace car.
Oh, listen, I think he's a little busy right now. Well, that's what I was told, but next time, absolutely.
Say, give him a few hot laps. I think he's going to be knocking at your door.
I told him, come on, his entire coaching staff, let's go.
There you go. I love it. Lori Kawalian, thank you so much. I hope we can do this again real
Absolutely.
soon. And again, race weekend, the 14th to 15th, culminating with the Cookout 400. That is August 15th, 7 p.m. We look forward to it. Always a great time. And thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back with the Hometown Sports Huddle right after the break. Stay with us. We welcome you back to the Hometown Sports Huddle. Dave Walls here with you on this Wednesday. My thanks again to Lori Collier-Warren, president of Richmond Raceway. Now, we are going to have trackside coverage Saturday for the Cookout 400. I'll be in Richmond giving you live updates at 6 and at 11, so it should be an exciting time to see who comes away with the checkered flag there. And I mean it, there is something very special about racing under the lights at Richmond. I can't explain it, but I've been there for day races, for night races, and there is just a certain atmosphere. I think it holds for most NASCAR tracks, but especially for Richmond. I don't know if it's the makeup of the track. For years, I have not been able to put my finger on it, but that track comes alive and the racers go harder under the lights there. So it should be very, very exciting to see. Again, Cookout 400 this Saturday night, and we'll have trackside coverage for you all day right here on WDBJ7. All right, one more, as we got about 10 minutes left or so to go in the huddle. I want to talk a little bit about high school sports. Of course, we're counting down to Friday Football Extra here on the Big 7, of course, premiering the last Friday of the month for week 1. to August 28th. But this month, the VHSL is kind of taking center stage, and they do this every 4 years with their alignment plan as they try to get schools, as their attendance patterns shift, into the proper division to ensure fair competition. So here, as we go now, are the current proposed plan for the VHSL as far as teams in our area go. PH is, of course, one of the big stories. If this holds up, the VHSL would move them from Class 5D up to Class 6A. That is certainly a drastic change for them. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Amherst County would go down from 4 to 3. Glass is going to go from 4 to 3. GW 4 to 3 as well. Different region, however. Grayson County up from Class 1 to Class 2. LCA from 3 to 2, and then Tunstall from 3 to 2 as well. Now, just looking at those recommendations, some of them have been made before. Patrick Henry, you might remember back when the last alignment plan came out in 2022. Patrick Henry and Grayson County specifically, these moves were proposed then, and it took 2 rounds of appeals in order to get the VHSL to go, okay, you know what, we understand. Because for Patrick Henry specifically, if you go from 5 to 6, when it comes to region playoff time, these teams are now going to have to go anywhere from 3 to 5 hours in order to be able to compete in region playoffs. And the other problem that you might not consider when you go from up to 5 to 6 is now if PH is playing a local team around here, say they're playing, a Hidden Valley, a Class 3 or a Salem Class 4, you're not going to get as many points. And those points help determine postseason seeding. So if that's the case, if Patrick Henry is Class 6 and they're not able to schedule as many, Class 6 teams, without having to travel, 3, 4, 5 hours each way, that means they could have a tremendous year, but still only maybe get a 7 seed, an 8 seed, and then it's a real uphill road to go on the road there. So they're going to appeal that. Grayson County's in the same boat. In fact, I had an interesting article come across my desk from the Roanoke Times talking about the ADM, the average, and I forget what that stands for, average daily measurement. And basically, it's an equation that takes into account the number of students, grades 9 through 11, on any given day throughout the year, and they kind of measure it. Well, the Class 2, the limit to go down to Class 1 is 344 students. Through the equation, Grayson County measured it at 343.5, and the VHSL rounded it up. And I love the quote from the Roanoke Times where the administrator for Grayson County said, "How in the heck do we have half a kid?" So they will appeal that as well. Now, more appeals came out today from the VHSL here. Now, this is the list of everyone across the state that is appealing. Now, keep in mind, some of these schools were left alone in the alignment plan. They're not moving, but now they're asking. In addition to the appeals we have from PH, from Grayson County, there are other appeals that these schools are making that say, please consider moving us, into different regions or districts, to ensure fair competition. For instance, Allegheny has requested to move down to Class 2 Region B instead of Region 3C right now. And if memory served me correctly, I think this is also something that was proposed 4 years ago, but that appeal did not go through. James River over in Buchanan is requesting to move down to Class 1 Region C instead of Region 2C where they are right now. They would still remain, and they would also be moving to the Three Rivers District if their appeal were to go through from the Pioneer District. Now, there's 2 interesting ones that I think there's a good argument for. In Bedford, Liberty High School is requesting to move from the Seminole District to the Dogwood District. Now, that may seem on paper like, what's the big deal? You just be playing some different schools. But the makeup of the Seminole District, it comes with a lot of Class 3 and Class 4 teams. Yeah, and not just 3 and 4s in Lynchburg primarily, but really good 3s and 4s. You get Jefferson Forest, a Class 4 team that's consistently been in the playoff hunt for football for the past several years. Heritage and EC Glass. And then even, you go out to Amherst. Amherst right now is a 4. They would be, looks like they're going to be going down to a Class 3 in 2027. So you have all these, again, geography-wise, it makes sense, but Liberty has made the move from Class 3 to Class 2 already because their attendance pattern has slipped. And so they have been, quite frankly, taking a beating over the last couple of years. You remember there were several seasons in a row that the Liberty football team did not just not win a game, they weren't competitive. They were really struggling to just get through a season. So Liberty saying, if you move us to the Dogwood District, which would mean schools like Chatham, Alta Vista, Tunstall, schools in that region, it's not saying, oh, hey, we have chances to win. No, they feel like they would be competing against schools that have more of a similar makeup, more of a similar, attendance pattern wise, and just it makes more sense than for them to continually have to play a Seminole schedule and take a beating over and over. The other big move in our area would be Liberty Christian. Now, you saw on that initial board that the VHSL has said, hey, your numbers would take you down from a Class 3 school to a Class 2 school. Now, this is something that also happened 4 years ago, but LCA is saying, you know what, we like to stay in Region 3C, again with a Heritage and again with a Brookville and teams like that, instead of moving down to Region 2C. And I think primarily the reason for that is simply just due to the fact that LCA already gathers enough attention as it is. They're extremely competitive in several sports, including football. They've won a couple state titles. Basketball, they're always in the mix in there. And of course, if you look at baseball has been quite frankly, a national powerhouse for many years now. They've won several state titles. In fact, that was their first VHSL title. If you go back to 2016 or 2017, they won a Class 4 title because that was their designation when they first entered the VHSL after their lawsuit to enter there. So LCA is saying, you know what, we're perfectly fine staying in Region 3C. We don't have to move down to Region 2. And I think that's just, in a way, almost to keep the peace in Lynchburg. But we'll see if, again, that was something 4 years ago. LCA had to appeal, and the VHSL said, okay, we'll leave you where you are. We'll see if they do that again. Other two appeals in our area. Nelson County has asked to move down from Region 2C to Region 1B. I think that would be a good move for Nelson County, not disparaging them in any way, because athletically they are doing some great things. Their girls soccer team won a state title this past spring, but overall the numbers in Nelson County that are coming out for athletics, and especially some of their bigger sports, has certainly hit some hard times in recent years, and now they are a little more competitive in football, and they've been able to make a playoff run here or there, but they all remember about 7-8 years ago they had to actually take a year or two off from even playing a Dogwood District schedule and play private schools in football. So this is something that would allow them, I think, to play a more consistent schedule, a more consistent brand of football. And there's no easy outs there in Region 1B. I think you're going to have to face some very strong Class 1 teams out in that region. And then also Smith Mountain Lake Christian Academy, of course, has only been in the VHSL for a year or two now. They're right now in Region 1C. They'd like to move over to Region 1B. Not exactly a huge change there, but maybe more closely aligns with the type of teams they feel like they fit in with. So that's all the appeals. So now what happens with these? Well, the VHSL is set to hear all these appeals. Now, there are a good 25 appeals on these 2 pages that the VHSL released today. They will hear those appeals on the 25th, and then I think first week of September is when they're expected to rule on them. Then the VHSL says, okay, we're all set, and this is the plan that goes on day one of the 2027-28 school year. So again, none of this affects athletics for this fall, but again, it will certainly be something to watch for, because again, this really helps shape what high school sports looks like in our region. And again, talking with specifically with Patrick Henry, they were saying, if our students have to ride a bus 3 to 5 hours each way. I mean, think if they have to go out to the Chesapeake region to play somebody. You get done with the game at 10 o'clock at night. Well, then you have to board a bus and get back at, 3:30 in the morning? Or you're talking about hotel costs. And then when you do that, you're talking about, additional overhead as far as buses, paying drivers overtime, those sort of things. And you really start to run into a problem there, because PH would be the only school, frankly, on this side of Virginia in that region. So it would certainly, in the school district's eyes, Roanoke City Public Schools, be something that would really hinder the progress of the teams and the athletes. And again, the appeal is set to get heard on August 25th, and we'll have a ruling for them in the first week of September. All right, that's going to do it for today for the Hometown Sports Huddle. Austin Hicks is in with you tomorrow. And again, don't forget, we've got coverage from Richmond Raceway this Saturday for the Cookout 400. I'll be live at 6 and at 11. Well, thanks so much, everybody. I'm Dave Walls. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow on The Huddle. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.